is the most targeted hero in terms of that ban draft, and I don't see that going away anytime soon.
VP, also classic patch note for them. They did buy a 30-meter Ethernet cable off Fincy.
True, we have had a sum total of 0 disconnects currently for Fincy.
Okay, going to be a Mirrored Mantis man to come up first, and Navi going to get the first protect here to try and make sure that something they have access to is obviously going to be the Jeff, because I believe that Fate is probably the premier Jeff player in the world.
And it's Krakoa on Domination again, which means if we do go to Grove, those teleport carry you throughs right over to the edge of the map are going to be something that Virtus.pro is going to have to be very wary of. As Virtus.pro are going to be able to secure themselves one-sided Ultron, so a triple strategist line is going to be strong. They'll be able to generate the first ultimate more than likely and have Rage of Ultron to try and deal with the Jeff, as Navi have been able to confirm that Virtus.pro won't be able to put Sparker on it.
Okay, a couple of pro gamer moves here. Getting those one-sided bans and protect. Simultaneous ban going to come through now, which VP will be able to instantly react to as Luna's taken off the table. And there is the Invisible Woman, who has been becoming very meta over the course of Season 4.
Yeah, Invis Woman with the pulls, like all of her base utility was already in an incredibly strong position, did not need to be buffed. It was the ultimate that needed to be buffed, as it being static made it so easy as well for these teams to just int onto the Invis, force the ultimate off of the objective, and then get out. But now that that slow rate has been increased significantly, disengaging an Invis ultimate is a lot harder than it was previously, and Virtus.pro are going to be able to ban Navi out of having it and guarantee that they get it to deal with Jeff and Venom, which has currently been able to make it through, as well as that Star-Lord for the side of Naga, which means that he's going to have a lot of dive compatibility with the Jeff, but not the Venom, because the Venom has been removed entirely.
Yep, love that Venom ban, getting rid of Fate's ability to use the symbiotic shenanigans, meaning no double links here between both the Soul Bond and the symbiotic shenanigans. We're going to be relying mostly on Jerky, pressing that shift to rebuff the first wave of Virtus.pro aggression.
Virtus.pro are going to be trying to just pocket fire on this Torch. We talked about it. He was one of, if not the most prolific Torch player. I think only really matched, I would say, by Speedily in NA, who is just the best flyer duelist in my personal opinion. But VP have been able to confirm that they get one-sided Invis Woman, which means Guardian Shield Stagger for the Torch, as well as the Phantom Force team up, and they get Ultron to be able to pocket him too. So this Torch pressure is going to be able to do a lot, and he's also not diveable, which means he's going to be able to act as a counter to the Jeff while having to watch out properly for the Adam instead.
As I try and stay on top of that one. Going to be starting on the carousel here, so it's party time for VP and Navi, and easy access to a ledge, which Fate is certainly going to be keeping in mind.
VP, flyers and against dive, they need to win the first fight. If they have to play into retake and that flyer gets scouted out every single time and takes continuous pressure from Adam Warlock and Jeff, they're not going to be having a fun time. And this is right all back to the VP versus Rad days, where Fate initially played Jeff strats against Fi on a flyer.
It used to be an always a bridesmaid, never the bride scenario for Navi. Always second place. Oh my goodness, the initial aggression onto VP. They could take Fi down already, catching them in midair. Spark having pivoted over onto the Phoenix. Doesn't seem to have been enough to scare away Navi, who move now back towards the point after it opens up. What a great first fight, rather than prioritizing the point.
Yeah, I mean, Navi just get to go as aggressively into that backline as they possibly can. The Ultron's not going to be having a fun time against the Star-Lord, who is one of the best duelists at dealing with aerial units. So too is Rajara on the ammo, one of the best vanguards at dealing with the Venom, and already Nevix has been melted, and Navi just continue pressuring to make sure that Virtus.pro lose more point percentage and lose the ability to regroup, which then hits their ultimate charge.
Yeah, just Naga showing off all of their mechanics going up against Sparker, usually one of the most feared duelists in EMEA. Not quite as much burst coming out of a Phoenix to begin with until you get up close and personal at least.
Ensong Inferno is going to be up for VP, but it's not going to be an ultimate to open up the fight. They need either this Rage of Ultron or a Sonic Suction to come on through, and there's the Ensong Inferno, but Faye just utilizes his ultimate, provides the healing AoE for his team, and Navi, off of the back of that Luna Snow ultimate too, will be able to keep up with Driver sustainability.
All right, Grabbing everybody forward, using the Luna ultimate. Naga doing their best to escape, knowing that the Sonic seduction is over. However, targets have disappeared inside of the invisible boundary, so Naga can't really get too much off the back of this one. Instead, going to try and track down Nevix, forcing out the symbiotic resilience. And guess what? The invisible woman ultimate is gone when it comes to that healing, so relying on the raw mechanics. Navi, though, they don't really feel too threatened. They can still move on forward. Symbiote, oh my goodness, 3 minds controlled, and they all just walk towards their doom. It's a grim march for the side of Virtus Pro as Navi. Their control of these engagements is second to none.
Yeah, and they had a backup plan too. Trust me, with the Freedom Charge was able to keep the point stalled in their favor, but it also meant that Jerky got to use the self-regen cocoon away from Virtus Pro trying to chase him down with either the Ultron, the Venom, or the Phoenix. And now Virtus Pro have to take a teleport fight with, granted, Ensong Inferno, but nothing to empower it, into a Karmic Revival fight where Jerky is entirely out of the way of danger.
Sparker going to be poking through the back, and here is Trust Me marauding towards the back. The Vikings looking for their own Lindisfarne to try and loot their way through. Naga there with the follow-up, down to only 94, but has for Snowflakes, who is getting that continuous healing redirected from the tanks and the Vanguards. Dredro's taken down Jerky, who is going to be able to self-revive here, so no Karmic Revival on the cards. Sparker doesn't quite have the DPS, and Virtus Pro don't have the personnel on the point. Navi coming up dominant on their first sub-map.
I feel like with Navi, you might actually need to start instant banning the Jeff. Like, Fade on this Jeff is just doing so much to be able to set the dive up and then also support it. Like, he goes down a total of 0 times. Even though Virtus Pro have both the Ultron and the Phoenix, who should be able to put so much pressure onto this Jeff, Navi are just not letting them get the space nor the angles to be able to do so, because there's just constant harassment. Star-Lord in your face, Captain America in your backline, and Virtus Pro have to turn and deal with both of them.
I mean, the primary complaint we had about Virtus Pro, as few as they were in Stage 1, was that they seemed uncomfortable with the Ignite ban system. Grinding it out, no doubt, heading into Stage 2, but still things to be done when it comes to dotting those I's, crossing those T's.
Okay, now we're going to be moving over onto the Human Torch rather than the Phoenix. Fi's going to have so much more pick potential with the ultimate now, because you don't have to stack it up with another ultimate coming on through. Plus, you now gain access to the Fantaforce team up with Saipe, so you have more sustainability. What you have to worry about, though, is 2 full flyers going up against the Star-Lord Galactic Legend.
High ground control was almost total there for Navi, as Fate's going to pick up a Venom, a freebie there, grabbed within the mouth. Going to be difficult to try and get an overall environmental frag onto him, so Navi's down a healer for now. However, Crook's making sure that any lack of resources is made up for by the secondary engagement of the Fate of Both Worlds. Naga gets just out of range there. Great double roll using the iframes to stop themselves from getting assaulted by the EMEA in the back. Speaking of assault, Spark has opened one up here upon to Trust Me. Extra damage onto that overhealth from the Rage of Ultron, the most recent patch, but it seems like the survivability is still going to be there. Trust Me, once again, unperturbed around the Guardian Shield. The healing is going to be there. The AoE coming through as well, but a quick freeze up onto Fire should be an easy follow-up thereafter. The back doesn't get too much off the back of a Feast of the Abyss either. Jerky sets up the Karmic Revival, but is anyone even going to be benefiting from it? It seems like the remainder of Navi, they're just making their own way through. Navi get the first cap.
Yeah, Navi get the first cap and now potentially stall it. Tridor's going to get aggressive with an Eternal Bond, but Sparker playing above it doesn't get the opportunity for the heal. And Fate reads where the cloak's going to finish the ultimate and manages to find the connection with its Jeff, taking Tridor entirely out of the fight. And now Galactic Legend gets to come on through unstopped by any support coming on through from Virtus Pro's backline.
Their understanding is just unparalleled. Navi is a well-oiled machine, and Virtus Pro, they're just punching this wall again and again, but can't find any purchase.
Sparker is going to have that Rage of Ultron, but trust me, with the Freedom Charge is going to mean that Navi can just, you know, dig their heels into the sand and refuse to give up point control off of the back of bouncing it, Luna, and Soulbind. Virtus Pro need to find these picks right now. Fi has to be able to do something that necessitates having this torch getting full pocketed by the Ultron.
All right, opening up with a Sonic Seduction. Rajara trying to isolate a target. Good Guardian Shield usage, but these backliners, they just have to dodge through the teleporter. Trust me, he's more than happy to join them. So no invites for a party for me. Spark is down. Finally, a frag found by Fi. Getting Naga out around the outside. Fincy trying to break through their compatriot in frostiness here, but Cypher's already been taken down on the other side. Virtus Pro, they've been scattered to the full winds, gone, reduced to atoms.
Rajaro was able to put pressure with the Sonic Seduction onto Sparker, who doesn't get to open up the fight for VP either. Dealing with the aggression from Navi running at the backline with the Ultron, and you know what? Navi are just going to continue. They've seen that VP are losing so much time to potentially get through these chokes and onto point. They were thinking maybe it was going to be a strange TP, maybe the backline was left a little bit more vulnerable, and now they make sure to push in full with all of their numbers and force rage Ultron before they're even on point.
Trying to punish Rajaro for moving too far up, a quick turnaround. Just emboldened by Crook, dancing for their life over here. Yet another Sonic Seduction coming on through. Finally, the Vanguards are starting to make some purchase in towards the back, but here comes the Karmic Revival. Anyone who falls will instantly be returned, but Sparker is still the first one to go down. It's Naga in the back getting it done, forcing out an invisible boundary in less of an ideal positioning, stealing away like a bandit with the mini health pack. Fate goes through the portal and just heads into Narnia itself with a strategist in mouth and the remainder of Virtus Pro. The Bears, they've been sent to hibernate once more. It's autumn time, so it's time for a lie down, old man. The new kings are still on their throne.
Oh, Navi, the target focus. Being able to remove the Invis woman so that with the Jeff ult, they just carry any potential Guardian Shield stagger away from the Flyers, and Galactic Legend melts through the Human Torch. Also having all of the target focus every single time we saw Eternal Bond come out from VP's backline too, so that they were either focusing the Cloak and Dagger before the ultimate could come up and second cycle in after Invis had burnt hers, or being able to find the pick onto the Cloak and Dagger prematurely before Eternal Bond would have been able to end and build into something like an aggressive Terror Cape, which could have weakened Navi's entire backline. They're using Soulbind aggressively to push and fray away at Virtus Pro's space that they get the opportunity to. If these fights go long, Virtus Pro with the continuous spam pressure of a torch should come out in the lead, but Navi just never let the fights to go for the long.
Yeah, it felt like some of these points Virtus Pro were feeling rather spaceless, just down to the aggressive nature by which Navi would push. Trust me, it just seems immortal in so
Jerky too.
Engagement.
Like the Atom, there was never a time where it felt like Jerky was pushed to burn his self-revive. Because Virtus Pro, even though they're coming in with like the Ultron, the Human Torch, and the Invis all trying to make plays for Fi to be able to do anything, there's so little actual natural cover when you try and play into retake on Grove in comparison to some of the other submaps of Krakoa, that it just meant that the Human Torch was always scouted out, and then Navi would go fast when they knew that the resources from the Human Torch, not the backline instead.
All right, VP, not a great Krakoa, but now they get to choose where we go for map number 2. So maybe they can try and design a preferential matchup here against Navi. We'll find out where they want to go after this break. World Series champions may be the best team in the game. I mean, scientifically, it seems like that's definitely the case right now. Navi are looking sublime off the back of their win in Guangzhou, and returning home, they mean to maintain dominance.
And I mean, dominance was achieved very much so on Krakoa. Every single time Virtus.pro had a win condition, they never got the opportunity to use it. If a fight went long and they burned for all of their ultimates, it's because Jerky was setting up for a Karmic Revival fight, so that Navi would be able to swing second stage. If a fight got finished because they were forced into using Eternal Bond, it was so that Fate could bait the Cloak and Daggers position and come on through with the E before it could translate into a hyper-aggressive blind behind the enemy team. Tech that VP was one of those teams that really pushed the Cloak and Dagger blind meta all the way back in stage 1 after it got used against them. But if you're VP, kind of feels like you went back in time a couple of months ago, because Rad was the team that initially put this team to the absolute brink and then pushed them over it. And even though they're under a new title, a new shiny organization in the form of Navi, this is still, for the most part, Melio excluded, that same old roster.
And that same old clarity of purpose provided by the one and only Trust Me. It's going to be Arakko where we're heading now, Mox, and I feel like the Jeff needs banning real quick.
Oh, it definitely does. I mean, we called it in between the break. We were sort of trying to figure out where exactly VP would decide to take us, and we were like, if it's a convoy, it's probably going to be Arakko, as they've gone on record in stage 1 saying that this is their favorite map to be able to play. As instead of going for the instant ban onto the Jeff, they have gone for the ban onto the EMEA instead. And I mean, that EMEA, the Sonic Seduction, was making it a little bit harder for Virtus.pro to have to play into, especially when it comes to those flying units. And they've been able to clear Mantis for themselves as well, as Navi went for the ban onto Invis. So I wonder if we're going to be seeing some defensive Angela shenanigans coming on through from them in a spawn hold capacity.
God, I love the Arakko music so much.
You do just be jamming.
I mean, I don't know if you guys have been keeping up with Level 1 Crook's Twitter. I believe 99% win rate in ranked at the moment with Mantis and the original Mantis Merchant. Even when Mantis was kind of bad, Level 1 Crook was trying to make the Mantis work. So we'll be more than happy to mirror the Mantis up against VP.
That is the second Loki ban we've seen, not of today, of the entire stage 2 so far, which goes to show the fall he's had in terms of pick rate. But he is still strong in the capacity of regeneration domain, and also being able to have God of Mischief copy a strategist ultimate when you're looking for a closer hold, and that being potentially either an invis boundary or perhaps a Adam Porlock, and you go from having 6 potential revives to 12.
Hooray! Last Protect now coming through for Navi. Do they want to try and bring the Jeff in? Maybe a Venom Protect to allow Trust Me even more dive potential? It's going to be the Phoenix.
Phoenix. I mean, Invis still hasn't been removed from Navi's end of things, so Virtus.pro might now prioritize taking out the Susan Storm, just so that Phoenix doesn't get one-sided Guardian Shield to be able to cover her when she looks for those rotations. But no, it is going to be the Jeff. We theorized that it would likely come on through, as it has been an incredibly hard problem for Virtus.pro to have to deal with, allowing Navi to set up counter angles while also looking to immediately stop their win conditions with better ultimate cycles.
Last Protect coming through now for Virtus.pro. What do they prioritize? Oh, getting their own Adam in here. So we are definitely going to be looking at a triple strategist lineup here. Both Mantis and Adam are going to be priorities.
What does Navi try and remove? Because Virtus.pro at the moment, they have a lot of opportunities. We haven't really seen a draft targeting either a spawn hold or a spawn break. Doctor Strange was able to make it through. Navi was the one who really got pressured in terms of the spawn hold potential by getting removed in terms of the Adam. I think the closest they came to trying to stop Virtus.pro from being able to spawn hold better was the Loki and the Ultron removal. But then Ultron, you feel the value of all throughout the map, especially if we see Virtus.pro try to put fire onto the Human Torch again and use him to just wrap around Anaconda style and catch the backline as Navi looks to keep the spawn in check.
All right, Arakko Breaking out of a spawn is going to be the first order of business here for Virtus Pro. Their fate is once again in their hands here in the winner's bracket, but going up against Navi is no easy task. And here on the comfort map, maybe you don't want to show off too many of your strategies before getting into the actual playoff bracket, but you know what? That could be cope from EMOT.
Starwood made it through as well. This is something that I really do want to talk about because Navi have been really taking a shine to the Starlord composition where we saw them against NJC go for a full, just Ultron Jeff composition coming on through with the Jeff, the Venom, the Starlord, the Cap, the Phoenix, and the Ultron, and looking for full dive run at them until you manage to find that pick and then disengage, as they've actually guaranteed themselves a Loki of their own. And indeed it is going to be Cherokee on the Angela that we predicted. Virtus Pro trying to go for the classic spawn break composition with the Storm and the Greer are immediately going to be swapping Sparker off of the Moon Knight onto the Punisher for hit scan into the Flyers though.
Damage boosted Punisher, Fate actually getting the Vibrant Life Force team up right there to get damage boost off the back of his regeneration domains. Very useful. And Fate feeling the damage themselves, taking out fire at long range. Not the easiest thing to hit as a Loki.
I mean, Navi are going to have the rocket, BRB as well. Changes are being made. We can see Virtus Pro starting to think about how they're going to be able to deal with everything that Navi has outside their spawn doors right now. Fires over towards the Atom for the one-sided Soul Wand to be able to give themselves a little bit more breathing room and take some angles against these Flyers. But Navi, they have so much sustain with both the Venom and the Loki regen domain that, trust me, can just go straight for the elimination onto the back line.
Yeah, trust me, really making some good soft dives work here. I would love to see Virtus Pro maybe pull out something like the Winter Soldier in the Sparker slot. We know the Sparker's great at that, and it has been fantastic at breaking 3-3 so far.
Well, I wouldn't even classify it as soft dive right now. Trust me, is going in, forcing the resources, then staying in long enough for the resources to be done and still finding the elimination. Fire this time around in terms of the musical chair swaps over to the Winter Soldier, classic CEC, as well as the ability to drop Jerky in the skies if able to land one of those tainted voltages. And Navix makes a play for the backline now, forcing out the regen domain defensively for the Loki, so it's not aggressively there for the Venom.
Big stun and the follow through onto level 1 Crook. Instantly Vasia gonna be sent to the Shadow Realm, but guess what? Crook managed to survive long enough for Naga to resurrect them once again. Rajara's right on top of the Phoenix, down to low HP, and the healing's not gonna be there. Oh, it's still the attempt here at the Mantis copy coming through from Fate. It might be throwing good money after bad, however. This isn't going to really be on the cards. If it was a world where maybe Fate just swaps over from the Loki after the spawn hold was initially broken for Navi, hence the investment.
I mean, Navi are still just stalling things as long as they possibly can. They've still got someone on the point. That is going to be Jerky. Jerky is not going to use Heaven's Retribution, though, so we're likely going to be sticking and still seeing the Andros Rajaro now has been able to come back and chime onto the point and stall it out even longer, which means that Navi still have the opportunity to set up for a dive off of the high ground to stall Virtus Pro's approach even further.
Okay, so we've got to look at clone management here from Fate as well to stop easy resets coming through from the side of Phi. Nevix at least has a little bit of advanced positioning to try and work with, which has been a rarity for Virtus Pro. They actually get to try and design an engagement.
Yeah, they were able to push, trust me, out of that area as well on the high ground, so the backline is now going to have an easier time scouting the Venom. But if they're looking at the Venom, they're not looking at the Angela. And Jerky's been able to find the pick onto Sparker. Phi looking to hook anything that he can, as Virtus Pro have already fallen to a minute remaining.
Only 1 minute back. Spark is only just about to return. The beatdown being delivered onto the Sorcerer Supreme is coming thick and fast right now as a disengagement coming through from the Venom relieves some pressure. Oh, Heaven ready to fall. Answered, though, by the healing that Dredre brought to the table. Look at all that overhealth that's ready to be potentially burst down by Naga on the off angle with the Ensong Inferno coming up rather close and personal, but a headshot from Fire brings their HP down to 0 real bloody quick. Still holding on to this Kraken impact. Maybe it's the threat of the Kraken impact, which is more important than the ult itself.
Yeah, Fate's really being kept in check in terms of where he utilizes those doppelgangers because of the Kraken impact reset. So too is Navi going to be tasked with trying to find a copy onto potentially a Luna with the God of Mischief. Rajaro comes on through with Freedom Charge. Finzy with the Eye of Agamotto sets up for Fire to come on out with the Kraken impact. Layered on top is the Ensong Inferno. And Virtus Pro are throwing everything, including the kitchen sink, into this fight to guarantee that Navi don't stall it.
Oh, the culling aura still good. Fincy super low, but Melee gets it done up close and personal with Nevix, who just uses the Dark Depredations to finish it on out. It was a full investment from Virtus Pro, but they finally got themselves a bit of momentum and a bit of motion.
Navi are going to change their comp now as well. We're going to be seeing Naga move over to the Wolverine, Jerky's on to the Human Torch, and Rajara off of the Captain America moves over to the Magneto. Ooh, Jerky thought about going for the Torch. I wonder if it was actually to just get faster through the spawn doors and come on out the other side on that Phoenix, as Virtus Pro trying to win this next fight since all of the ultimates have essentially been reset to 0 side of the Feast of the Abyss. Put fire onto the Adam Warlock to cheese the resources with Soulbind.
Yeah, Fincy sees the approach of the Wolverine as well and thinks, you know what, maybe I won't play Strange today. Jerky already down. Fire getting that one with a headshot as well. Means less cooldown coming through for the live stream. Just chasing out this Venom, making sure they can't comfortably exist in Navi's backline.
Yeah, so the Winter Soldier isn't the only one who really gains benefit from the other side running a Loki. Remember, Fi getting headshots is going to mean his healing uptime increases exponentially too. So too will Dritro be able to start refreshing those seeds off of those crits. Is Navi still going to be holding that position? Level 1 Crook with the damage booster ready out into Rajara. The Vanguard's building up their ultimates in record time.
Naga just disappeared. Fire managed to get them with the stream of bullets. And look at that. Fincy wrapping around behind the Magneto. Once again, it's going to be an all-out stall on the cart here for Navi. They're doing their best to prioritize the objective and just get really good objective discipline.
I wonder, now that Virtus Pro have put an Adam Warlock onto the table, does Faye try and go for the Golden Goose and get the God of Mischief? No, they use a preemptive copy coming on out for a Mantis damage boost potentially onto the Feast of the Abyss, but it's not going to be able to find the elimination as Virtus Pro have plenty of sustainability on their side.
All right, Jerky unable to hit Terra Firma here. The Ensong Inferno ended before it could reach its crescendo. 5 down, but still has the Cocooned Revival and the Karmic only 2% away. Coming low on time right now are Virtus Pro, but now we've got to deal with the Meteor M. 5 taken low, but nice instant healing towards the back. Trust me, coming in close and personal, feeling real low as well. Sedated temporarily. Dredro take him down. This might necessitate the instant revival, and indeed it is for Solo coming through from 5. Sedation in the back. The Venom put to sleep to alleviate some pressure as Navi just back on up, allowing for the timer of these revives to be expended already. Feast of the Abyss doesn't get too much, and Saipe knows it's time to move forward. A fate of both worlds to drive forth the Bears towards a potential victory. Big coverage here from For a Generation Domains, but Spark is not going to be one who's benefiting from it. Instead, it's an unhealthy duel coming up close and personal. My melee DPS has arrived in the form of the Phoenix, and the Soul Bond's been used, running low on resources, and Navi have everything they could want and possibly more. Going to be a quick damage boost on the Ensong, but it doesn't reach the ground yet again. Fincy and Cypher turn it around. Have they managed to do this through the healing as well? But Nag was bringing to the table. Fincy from downtown. Can the Dunkmeister arrive again? Seems like it hasn't made any big connections, but trust me, it's connecting in the back with their foes. Rajara wants to try and follow up upon this one. Getting rid of Saipe would be everything, but they can't quite make it work. The Ensong sings for Rajara, a funeral song, the wake to be attended. Fate's coming through in the midst of all of this as well. I'm not sure what they've copied, but it doesn't seem to be popped out just yet. Still waiting on it. Naga taken down in their own right. That's going to be the objective as well. Fate couldn't even use it. Oh, Fate was on the Venom.
Yep, Venom.
Misclick.
Yep. It was the Venom, which is why we didn't hear the ultimate going off to allow Navi through the door frame and back onto that objective. And Virtus Pro will continue on the absolute edge of their seats into third, but they've got a comic revival fight. Fi was able to build it up all the way through the previous, and they can have damage boosted Feast of the Abyss. But Jerky is out onto the magic. The Magneto and the Phoenix get chained together. Fincy held into position long enough for Trust Me to come up through with a dive into a pull from Fate, and Virtus Pro are down their vanguards.
So again, a brain rot hit EMEA. Jerky ready to go. Nevix, big Feast of the Abyss, is going to be chomping through both the Magic and the Doctor Strange. There's more than enough healing here that essentially just gets transferred into Strategist Ultimates. Chomping through towards the back. Trust me, gets their own attempt now. Good reliability coming through from the heals given over by the Mantis. A pair of Soul Resurgences mean that everyone has so much cushion for all of the incoming pushing. And level 1 Crook now once again assaulted by Nevix. Was that an interrupt on a potential ultimate? Oh, Sparker from downtown. Cellular Corrosion combines with the Ensong Infernal to find the casualties that were desperately needed.
And that was damage boosted as well through the Luna's ultimate. which means that Navi now down Fate of both worlds, while Virtus.pro still hold on to theirs. Navi need to come through with some of these eliminations. Maybe Virtus.pro goes a little bit overextended, too close to the sun for Navi to be able to pull one forward out of position with either the magic or this invis. But Rajaro's taking so much entry damage just to let Fate build up his ultimate before the fight begins. They're running out of time. They have to go in with the Darkchild Jerky spinning to win. Forces out the Soulbind from 5.
Requires some sustainability though. Comes in with the Eye of Agamotto. Nothing gained. Rajaro on the other side gets a pair of stuns onto Fi. He's going to have their Cocoon Revival to bring themselves back potentially, but it's going to be difficult to try and do it in the midst of all of the enemies. Needs to try and burst on through this. Trust me, getting up close and personal. Double enemies. No one's on the point. Virtus.pro are scared away. And Navi hold them just shy of a completion.
Virtus.pro, they try to go for a Karmic Revival behind cover, so it's only the Venom that's going to be able to put pressure onto the Atom because they know that Feast of the Abyss is in the pocket. But that means that when they're all getting revived up, no one's on the point, and that is where it will be finished.
Jarvis, play the bops again. I need a moment. Oh, Navi, though, considering how close that was to being essentially a 3-meter hold, like, Virtus.pro managed to clutch up towards the end there and really start thinking about these engagements a little bit better. I think they started to get a lot more value out of their Endsong Inferno as well, which allowed for Sparker to convert into a lot of final hits.
Yeah, they were also able to keep the pressure on Navi. Every single time Fate had a God of Mischief up, Virtus.pro's backline was being hidden partly because of positioning and also because Trust Me was just continuing to put the pressure onto poor Saipe and Trudero. Every single time they wanted to be there for their team, that was a Venom just pushing them out of LOS so they couldn't help out. And that was when we would see Navi go aggressively forward and try and find those eliminations.
Spawn hold right outside. We can hear the group walls being brought up, and Jerky's still hovering his magic.
There's a rocket. There's a... Virtus.pro are on the Rocket Raccoon shenanigans, which means that, hey, we might actually get to see damage reduction Groot.
W. However, this does mean no healing wall for Groot here. Shujo's going to be up on the Resurrection Perfect being himself. Adam Warlock.
More worrying is Jerky. Look at how far wrapped around this magic's already gone. Took the whole wraparound rotation to be able to come through and oust Virtus.pro from the high ground, isolate the Atom, potentially force the Soulbind, and then just step away to the point.
All right, trust me, in towards the back. Cypher's going to be in major danger here. There goes the explosion. Good light and dark karma used for self-healing. Quick slow from a chains of Cyterac that were thrown forth from Jerky as well. But Fincy gets resurrected. Virtus.pro still have a majority of their members. And Juju's going to desperately need some heals. Good 3, 2, 1. Cocoon Revival ready to go. Juju's so close to her own ultimate as well. They might decide to just stick around for the Karmic Revival. And a second attempt at a close hold. Rajaro coming up close and personal. Has the Eye of Agamotto. Might try and do it in the midst of the enemy team. Spark is already down. The C is being used. Many players dragged in by the strangling prism, but the follow-up's not really there. Just a quick resurrection coming through as Drujo can dip out through the teleporter as quickly as they like. Trust me, sent scurrying away. And that's going to be Navi back to the drawing board as Naga. Look at this position.
Yeah, I mean, he's on the Starlord now too, so he can follow up even better with the Venom and that magic, putting pressure onto Sparker potentially on this rocket too. Melting the rocket, removing the BRB. Navi have the ultimate economy for this fight too. They wanted the Karmic Revival gone. The Karmic Revival has been removed. This dive, when it finds eliminations, they'll stick! And that's already going to be the Luna's fate of Broforce, but it's not in time to save Sparker.
Yeah, Spark was above the pit. There's no way for Lunaration, but Fincy fragging out with the Iron Volley. An Omega level mutant rises above what Navi were bringing to the table, but it was only one ultimate from Navi. They still have their stockpile.
Yeah, they've got that Eldritch magic. They're going to be able to come on through with the Eye of Agamotto as well, trying to find these CEC stuns onto Virtus.pro, which they can move into Feast of the Abyss follow-up damage. And they keep finding Sparker's location. The rocket's been scouted early again.
Oh, quick sedation onto Fincy. Has the bubble themselves. That means they can't really deal with the incoming Darkchild Jerky, just generating so much additional HP. And you can cut through both soul and body with the sword when they're stunned up by the Eye of Agamotto. And this entire time, there has been movement on the cart as well.
Oof, I mean, Virtus.pro tried to peel, yeah, and then... Oh, Combo chains and melee cancels, and Luna is gone, and that's a stagger too. We're going to see Fi come back in on the Fing potentially, but he goes for the Wolverine. So Fing charges out of spawn, swaps over to Wolverine to have the passive, and also counter dive the Venom when he tries to show up potentially to displace the Feast of the Abyss coming on through. Jerky's getting pressure. Virtus Pro already forced into burning the Soul Bind, but there it is. The dive onto the Venom to allow Virtus Pro's backline to survive.
By the surprise of the Wolverine, Treejo's already down. Saipe as well. Navi have made sure to remove a huge amount of the core of this healing. Navi just floats above it all, ready with the Galactic Legend. There's not really enough healing to try and deal with him, but Saipe goes in for a duel with the cannon of the rocket. BRB is going to be used instantly, forcing out the E. No resurrection here for Treejo. No second chances. Saipe just runs out of spawn with their own Fate of Both Worlds. Can keep Virtus Pro sustained potentially, but Navi don't want to use too much in the way of their ultimates here. We're going to invest with Dark Child and Saipe. He only existed hypothetically. Schrodinger's strategist. The backline is absolutely destroyed. Treejo prepares a resurrection, but it's too late. The damage has already been done.
They're off the point. The reses came through entirely off of the point, and now Virtus Pro, surely they're going to be swapping off of this Atom composition. They're burning the Karmic Revival there. It's at least bought them an opportunity to try and hold on second, but Navi with the damage boosted Feast of the Abyss, followed up by both the Magic and the Starlord, melt through Virtus Pro's defenses, and will be able to win out the first fight moving into second. And yeah, there it is. There's the swaps coming on through. No more Atom. It was just Virtus Pro trying to get as much value from that ultimate as they possibly could to stake out even more time from Navi's bank as we move into second.
Oh, the damage boost on Magic is kind of nasty, I'm not going to lie to you.
Oh, no, Fi's actually going to be coming back in. Oh, they changed. Fi now moves over to the Atom so that he's built up 50% to that Karmic Revival and will have it up sooner.
All right, here comes the Galactic Legend, drawn in just Jerky. Multiple stuns avoided there, I believe, using the Iron Curtain drawn up by the Magneto, but the damage has been done, and the objective's been moving all this time.
Oh, maybe they get a second. No, Spark is too close. Naga does not want to go for this, but he can absolutely police Virtus Pro's approach and scout out to see whether or not VP are going to be looking for a contest fight. Soul Resurgence not going to be held. Instead, it's going to be Fate of Both Worlds coming in from Virtus Pro. A 10-second time window where Navi have to distance themselves from the fight in case Sparker decides to commit Endsong Inferno over the top, but now that they don't have it, the Luna's vulnerable, and the Starlord finds this moment.
Okay, Light and Dark Karma, no good for trying to heal Treejo through this one. Spark has been able to convert. The Dark Child has arrived, and she is using Mephistian glory and power to just cut through Virtus Pro. This will be decided on the third and final point.
That fight went down so quickly too, because again, Navi distanced themselves when they saw the Fate of Both Worlds come through. Fi didn't get the opportunity to build up to the Karmic Revival. The entire fact and point of why he swapped from the Wolverine to the Atom was to build Karmic Revival up, so Virtus Pro had it for that contest fight on second. They'll have it for this next fight, but that's not exactly the space that they want to have to use it, as Navi have so much opportunities to force it early.
Oh, no E? Nevix doesn't have that one available. Do you want to try and use the Karmic Revival just for your Venom? He comes like real fast. Look at this. Fate's got so much freedom above this point. It's just dropped down so much healing. And that means Virtus Pro can't go too far forward, or they risk getting just shot in the back by the Loki. Rojaro with a fully powered Dark Maelstrom building up towards this Eye of Agamotto. But with the low ceiling of this tiny corner hold, it can be a little bit difficult to get the value out of that one. Fate rolls forward. Soul Resurgence given over. Treejo falls on down, losing the ultimate. Fi wondering, do I have to invest here? No, they're going to go all in for one last hold.
What a catch from Navi. They managed to come and prove the Eye of Agamotto when Virtus Pro looked to disengage the Soul Resurgence from Fate's ultimate with the portal. And unfortunately, no one's blocking the Stranger for the back of it. Trust me, already in deep towards Virtus Pro's backline, trying to put pressure onto that Atom. Galactic Legend is going to be able to do all the more for that. Forces out Meteoram to have to peel for it. Endsong Inferno synced out of time with the Mag ultimate because it had to be used before.
Heading towards the back, Sparker can't find any casualties off the back of it, but now the Face of the Abyss could try and convert. The Dark Child ready to go. The regeneration domains have been used out. Shirky heading towards the back, but they're going into a more than ready Saipe, who's already started channeling the Fate of Both Worlds. Sparker fallen down elsewhere, so Fi will bring them back. Resurrection in and out of the underworld. Jerky taken towards the back for self-healing here for Saipe is so strong between the Ice Arts and the Light and Dark Karma. Nevix has got two already. Navi down to only 20 seconds seconds. Now they have to choose whether or not they're calling this fight.
Yeah, but Virtus.pro have no ultimates outside of the Mantis. Can they manage to stop the teleport coming on through? Or are they just going to jump onto Navi as they try and pile out of it? Rajara has the Eye of Agamotto. Virtus.pro have to be able to block it.
Okay, Fit's going to be able to change positions there with Duplicitous exchange. Rosalvo around the back is going to be able to roll out instantly with the Eye of Agamotto, and they won't hear the call if he does it while on the other side of a portal. Sparker up close and personal towards the back. No stuns are delivered. Great speed given over there by Drujo to make sure that you can just dodge it the old-fashioned way. Level 1 Crook expending their spores to give extra damage, and Fate has got even more now. It's an absolute embarrassment of riches when it comes to Mantis resources. Fi's been taken down. Sparker almost sits for ground, but great target focus coming through from Navi to get rid of the Endsong Inferno. So close to this, towards the back, you've got to try and dodge it. Regeneration domains are drawn on up here to make sure that Nevix is harmless in the face of all of this. Vinci will stand alone against an oncoming tide of 6 as Sparker is going to be reinforced by Saipei's ultimates. Yes, the healing's good and the Jeff's even better from the back, but Jerky's just managing to get it all done a little bit more on top of that. A cheeky little portal to get Vanguards onto point, but element guns will blast on through, and the radioactivity is reaching critical levels here for Navi. Born to win, their name would scream, and their actions say that that motto is true. The world champions stay on top.
A little closer in comparison than Krakoa, but nevertheless a 2-0 win coming on through from Navi. Virtus.pro was so close to being able to have the advantage back in that fight. If Endsong Inferno and Feast of the Abyss had come through at the same time, and they'd been able to use the Endsong Inferno, the Phoenix ultimate, to burn through the regeneration domain of the Loki's doppelgangers, and then Feast of the Abyss was able to hit, but alas, Inferno comes on out. Regen domain is held in the back pocket for Fate, and when Feast of the Abyss, that one hit of damage coming on through from the Venom's mighty chomp hits from the floor, Navi have all of the regeneration domains to be able to survive it.
Oh, this is going to be ruinous for my ranked games. A lot of imitation magic is about to happen, I think. Gonna have to tell people that they ain't Jerky.
Oh, learn your animation cancels. Magic, it's so hard to be able to make magic work, but magic on Arakko, I feel like, is one of those maps where you really can find a lot of value off of how closed off a lot of those fight spaces are going to be. Plus, with the portals, it means that Magic can position herself into an angle where she can immediately teleport with one of those whirling discs into Virtus.pro's players, as opposed to just walking up, being scouted, being damaged, and having to burn all of her cooldowns in the actual engagement, rather than when you're actually looking to chain into the damage onto one of those players. Because even when you see as well Jerky's POV, take note that we didn't see one-shot combo strings from the Magic, because they always made sure that they had one of those cooldowns to disengage the situation afterwards.
Yeah, just being able to lay down that pressure, and having those stepping discs from the iframes that they confer is super important when you're going up against things like a Meteor Ram, like an Eye of Agamotto, to dodge incoming stuns, and make sure that there's always that oh no moment that you can step away from.
Yeah, they actually did a really good job. I think when we saw it the most effectively was actually when they were fighting on the first part of that point, because as you said, when you use those stepping discs, on the activation of it, as you go into the portal, you get CC immunity, your health bar turns yellow. As you come out of it, however, you don't. So what they were actually doing was they were leveraging the Venom diving in to cover for the absence of the iframe when the Magic commits afterwards.
All right, let's hear from Navi. We've got our mid-season finals MVP ready for an interview. Level 1 Crook is on the line. It's nice to see you again, buddy. Congratulations on yet another win to add to your stack.
Thank you so much. Nice to see you too.
So what do you think was different in terms of Domination when we then headed into Convoy? Because Domination, it really did look like there was a world of difference between the two teams. And then we went to Arakko and things seemed a lot closer. Do you think it was just composition? Did Virtus.pro have a better ban phase on that second map in comparison to the first?
I think on the first map they didn't really shoot back that much, but on the second map we kind of lost it ourselves. I do think we made a lot of mistakes. So right after this interview, going into the VOD, and we gotta figure out what we did wrong, because we were not happy with that, and we should have done better.
How are you feeling about the Mantis at the moment? I have been keeping track of your Twitter and your win rate at the moment. I've seen it's very high. How does Mantis fit into the current meta?
Well, Mantis is broken because Adam's really good, Jeff is really good, Ultron's really good, and whenever it's triple support, the damage boost does so much, because when you play triple support, you usually have a Venom or a Star-Lord, and they both do infinite with your damage boost, and you just flank as Mantis, you try and sleep one of the healers, and when one of them is slapped, the other one can't get healed, right, and they just get one-shot essentially, so it's like really, really good.
Was there a reason why you opened up with a Loki ban on that second map? Because I believe that's actually the second overall Loki ban of the entire stage 2. Was it a particular strategy that you knew Virtus.pro were going to have in the back pocket to make the defenders a little bit more strict in their spawn hold potential?
I mean, we kind of just wanted to try something, but usually if you give Mantis, right, because we didn't want to ban Mantis on that map, we ban Loki so they don't get the team up. That was the only thought behind it. Otherwise, there's no good reason to ban Loki, only the team up.
Does that mean you guys rate the team up? Is it the expansion of the AoE for the greens that's better, or the damage boost?
I mean, it's both, because you can use it offensively, right? It's not a defensive tool anymore because it has damage boost, and it's more forgiving because of the extra range. So you just pop it in from, like, you're playing the backline as Loki and you just chuck it in, and your dive tanks are not gonna die, and they got the damage boost with it, right? And that's what I'm talking about. These comps are a lot about one-shotting the backline, so it's the perfect tool for that. That's why we think it's very, very strong.
So looking ahead, because I think a lot of people were looking at this match to be the sort of determined factor for who would be the strongest team in EMEA. EMEA gets 3 positions to go into that end of year LAN. Obviously, your team is looking like you're going to be one of those teams to go there, but who do you think the second and third spot is likely to fall to?
At this point, it's not that clear anymore. I think Chopped came into the mix without people expecting them to be in the top 3 mix, right? But they have very serious chances beating Citadel. And from scrims, we also know that they are not a bad team, right? They're improving a lot, they're bodying a lot, and we can see that they understand the meta pretty well. And yeah, so it's hard to say. Chopped, I think, could beat Citadel. They could beat us, they could beat VP. They have a very serious chance. So it's more like a top 4 team selection instead of top 3 as it was before.
All right, thank you so much for joining us, Kruk. It was great to talk to you again and get some insight on a team up that might have been underrated. My Mantis King. We look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Have a great day.